Okay. And I'm with Interfaith Power and Light, DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia. And my role as Clean Energy Shepherd is really to help congregations with whatever, people asking me about solar. People increasingly have been asking me about EV chargers, um, and those types of things. So, for a long time we've been getting a lot of inquiries about, could we put EV chargers at our congregation for no cost? And it's been hard to find something that works well, but I think this program that Andrea is going to share about, that's funded through some federal funds that are supposedly back on track for now, could be a good solution for our folks. And it is limited, and Andrea will talk about this, but it is limited to certain areas. But I double checked, and both of your churches should qualify, I believe, based on where you're located. So yeah, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Andrea, who's got a presentation for us about the program. And then we should have lots of time for questions. And it's a small group of us, so I think also, as questions come up, we can probably address them too. So thanks, Andrea, so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Maddie, for putting this together. I'm really excited to share this program with you guys, especially if EV charging has been something that's been considered in the past. I think we have a great opportunity to bring that to the table and for no cost. And I'm going to actually share my screen really quick because I have a short presentation to share. Let me know if you guys are able to view that.
Yep, looks
Yes.
great.
Okay, great. So, yeah, as Maddie explained, we are working with some federal funds right now, as well as some state utility and local incentives to help bring EV charging stations to communities for zero cost. And the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation is a big player in all this. We are partnering with them to deliver this program, and yeah, here's my contact information. I'm sure Maddie will send it out after our meeting, but in case any other questions come up after the meeting, please don't hesitate to reach out. But let's get into it. So here's a breakdown of all of the program highlights. So the stations, the maintenance, and the software connected to the stations is all zero cost. We will be installing two dual port level 2 charging stations at each community. And dual port means there's two ports there, so they would be serving two parking spaces. So two dual ports would be serving a total of four parking spaces. And our program is unique in that it also includes a bilingual education campaign. So we've actually hosted quite a few events over the past couple years, and usually what those involve are tabling events. We have an EV festival in Riverdale Park end of April, April 28th. So there will be live music, food, lots of educational materials to take home, and yeah, we'll get into a little bit more specifics a little later on, but that's an exciting part too, so that we not only install, but we help foster a relationship within the community for EV charging. The site host will also be completely reimbursed for any electricity consumed by the stations. And there is also a profit share for the site host. So 20% of all the revenue generated annually will be sent back to the site host as well. And the 50% pay per use discount is basically a 50% off of the market rate. We're trying to encourage adoption, and one of those ways is to make charging affordable. So we like to say that they should experience at least a 50% discount on their charging experience. And like I mentioned before, that is for two dual port charging stations, so four parking spaces. And I did have 4 to 5 written in just in case any permitting requirements. Sometimes we've seen that in order to comply with ADA, we do need to include an extra spot to transform into an ADA spot. And then our contract term years are 5 years. And after that 5 years, there's an option to renew for up to 10. So just a little bit more on as to why EV charging is a good idea, especially now there's a boom in the market and we're only seeing EV adoption increase. So I think it's a great way to put your first foot forward into a green future and to show the community that you are green thinking and you know, since it's a free program, I think it's a great opportunity to jump on it while it's available. It also does increase your property value, which is another benefit. And like I said earlier, our education is designed to increase adoption. So even if there isn't a whole lot of use of the chargers right away, the goal is to increase that over time. A little bit more about what you can expect in the program. So as I mentioned, no upfront capital needed. Um, the drivers will pay for the use, and but the site host will receive a portion of the profits as well. And a little bit more information about the end of term for that contract. So, like I said, there is the option to renew for up to 10 years. But after the 5 year term, if you're not seeing a whole lot of use with the chargers and not really experiencing the benefits of it, we will remove those for you at no cost as well. So, Citizen Energy is our company. We are a for-profit company and we helped kickstart Avanza EV, which is our nonprofit, which is taking full initiative on this program. So our company, Citizen Energy, will manage everything. So we'll start with the site design, engineering, and go through the entire permitting process as well, installation, and then the performance monitoring will take place through the network software. So we'll have 24/7 access to the charging stations virtually. So in the event of any failures or issues, we'll be notified right away and we'll deploy a technician for prompt resolution. The drivers will also be able to utilize a mobile phone app to access the chargers as well. And our maintenance is all inclusive, so parts and labor, and that is also included in the program, so no cost there as well. So this is a little bit more about the design phase. So all of the specifics as to an install location and the hookup to the electricity, all of that will be um, written out and sent to the site host for final approval. We won't start with anything until we have your say. And like I said, 4 parking spaces might need an extra for the ADA compliance. And since the goal is to help raise awareness and to increase adoption, we do prefer to have chargers installed in a visible area for residents and visitors. And to help with the costs, having it closer to an electric room is always ideal, but not required. Here's a picture from one of our education events. So we will have a on-site coordinator who will provide the bilingual education, and we'll work with you to find a time and place that works for everyone. We want to reach as many people as we can, and best way to do that is to work together. We also are working with some local dealerships to help uh, implement some purchasing group discounts. So for new EV buyers, we're hoping to offer them some discounts on their EV. We're also encouraging dealerships to help process the federal tax credit in-house as well to help streamline the whole process for new buyers. We've also had some EV ride and drive events in the past. Those are really fun. We have some electric vehicles brought on site for people to check out, test drive, ask questions. So we've had a lot of success with that as well. We're also working on a gasoline powered versus EV comparison tool, so new users can really see the difference and the impact that they're making by making that transition. And yeah, we're hoping to also stay connected. We don't want to have an event and then not follow up with new users or people who are curious about EVs. So we do have our social media pages for to be able to connect that way. And here's an example of what the charging station will look like. They are Build America, Buy America certified. Those are some of the requirements that the federal government has for the charging stations. They are 7.7 kilowatt per port and 40 amp breakers per port. The cable retractors that you see on either end, those are 25-foot cable retractors. And it is a wireless connectivity. So, like I said, the user will be able to access and start a charge all through their phone. And the ports are the SAE J1772 connector. So that is the industry standard and should fit on every electric vehicle. Teslas are special. They do get an adapter with purchase, so they'll be able to access these chargers as well. Here's an example of what the software will look like. We'll have full management of the stations, so we'll be able to see every session, all the electricity consumed, and this is also where we will be able to monitor uptime and any issues that arise. Here is the mobile phone app that users will use to connect to the chargers and actually start a charge. So they'll be able to see the available connectors and the pricing as well. And everything is streamlined through the app, so they'll be able to connect and pay. Here's an example of a project that we did at a condominium complex. You could see there's chargers there. They will come with the yellow bollards on either side for protection. We also include signage and the stenciling of the parking spaces as well. Here are a couple of our past customers that we've worked with for EV charging. And this is a typical project timeline. So for this project, we are planning to actually start education and preliminary site design in the first month. So that would actually take place over the summer. And then from there, once we get final approval, we can move on to permitting process and the installation, which we're also aiming to start installations this fall. And then we will move on to the continued monitoring of the stations. So, like I said, 24/7 monitoring for the 5-year term, and then can always renew or have them removed. And that is it for my presentation. I want to save majority of the time for questions because I know there's a lot of information here, and I think our time would be best spent, going over some specifics or any questions that you have.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. Could you talk a little bit about the timeline of site? Because I emailed, so all the folks on this call have gotten the letter, like the sample letter of intent in the email I sent them.
Great.
But I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what your timeline is in needing to get that back from people and like, what are people signing? They're not signing an actual contract yet, but what does that all
Right.
entail?
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So right now we are collecting letters of intent. So those are non-binding and non-committal documents that basically reserve your community a spot in our program. That allows us to begin with the preliminary site design and is just basically a way to confirm interest and put your foot in the door. It's not an agreement to any final installation or projects, but I do recommend that folks that are interested submit as soon as possible. We are aiming to um, have all letters of intent filled out and returned to us by the end of the month. We do have a couple slots left. There are a limited number, but I don't want that to discourage anyone because we do plan on applying for future funding rounds. So if your community doesn't make it in this round, there's definitely opportunities ahead. But yeah, that letter will have all the program details in there, uh, and it will specifically say that it doesn't bind anyone to project or installation. Um, and if anyone needs any assistance filling out any of the site-specific information, I'm more than happy to assist with that. Um, but yeah, timeline for that would definitely be end of the month. Is there any other questions about the program or the letter of intent that anyone has?
You mentioned somewhere in your presentation about residents, and I'm representing a church. We have no residents, so please explain what residence means.
Yes, of course. So our program is targeting residential areas. So, of course, no one's living at the church, so I'm sure there's no residents at the churches, but um, more so just residents in the area. We do need the chargers to be publicly accessible per federal requirements. The chargers won't be posted to any charging databases, so the general public won't really know unless we advertise that they're there. But they do need to be accessible. Um, so we are talking to a lot of multifamily sites. So that is why residence was written in there, but it really is just open to all and any users. I hope that clarifies a bit more.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
How many
And
churches have you
along with
partnered with to
that,
this
with
point?
the 50, oh, sorry, go ahead, Noel.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, how many churches have you partnered with at this point?
So we've been in conversations with quite a few churches. It's been really hard to implement projects at churches just because of how expensive charging stations and installation can be, especially when there's no external funding sources to support those projects. It's really hard to see those through. But we do see a lot of churches exploring it with us at least. But right now we haven't been able to see a project to completion, and mostly due to lack of funding.
But this program, you have funding to do the whole thing, which is why it's more, appealing to houses of worship in general.
Exactly.
Because we've encountered that too. It's like people are like, "Oh yeah, we'll put a charging station there." It's just like 10,000 to dig the trench and like connect to your electrical box, like nobody can do that. So,
Yeah,
um,
it can get pretty costly, especially if there's instances where a electrical upgrade is needed. Those can get pretty up there. So it's an exciting time to be able to support churches, especially because there's not a lot of other opportunities out there for projects like this.
There's only 9 days left to the end of the month, and I think for my church, St. Albans Episcopal Church in Salisbury, Maryland, um, the time frame for getting our vestry, our lay leadership, and our rector up to speed on this, particularly being that we're right after Easter and the rector is off, is impossible. So I don't see how we can do it by the end of the month. How you mentioned that you thought there'd be more funding subsequent to the current funding round. Um, what time frame does that exist in, and is that also going to be readily available?
Yeah, so nothing set in stone yet, so I can't make any 100% guarantees, but we are hoping to see an additional funding round take place next year. That probably wouldn't
Or
happen
next year?
until the later part of next year, yeah, but definitely not any future rounds for this fiscal year. Um, But yeah, we'll keep people posted, especially if we have your contact information and you are interested. We definitely want to keep you guys in the loop for future funding rounds. And yeah, the turnaround is quite uh it's quite quick. I am hoping that the fact that the letter of intent or the LOI is non-binding um kind of helps because there's also, flexibility for your congregations to opt out at any time throughout that phase as well.
Yeah, Jim, I'm wondering if you think it would be possible to like, just submit the LOI under the basis that like people are generally interested in EV chargers, and then if like specific things come up later that you need to pull out of the project, like you could. I just don't want you to like miss out on a spot. I know I tried to
I
work with
appreciate that.
Reverend Brack earlier on a different program that didn't work out, so I know you all are interested, but
I will bring it up and try to sell it, but on the short time frame and for people to have adequate time to digest what you're offering, I am doubtful that it will fly, and I don't have the authority to approve it on my own.
Hmm. Okay.
and I think, even if it takes you a while to want to get it signed, like get it signed, send it back to us, even if it takes a month or whatever. And like, there may be, Andrea can say more, but there may be opportunity to like if other sites don't work out or something, like you can be on that wait list for knowing when future funding is coming. I think the good thing about Maryland is there, and I think everybody here is in Maryland, there is like going to be state funding for this, right, Andrea? That's kind of what you're hoping
Yes.
for.
Yeah, we're also working with the state as well to help support a lot of these projects. So yeah, that's another avenue that we're taking. And yeah, even if it is a little late, having your letter of interest and your contact will definitely keep you in the loop on any future funding rounds, or if any spots do become available, we'll definitely consider you guys for that spot.
Okay.
And Andrea, I'll just add Jim and St. Albans are in Salisbury, so I don't know how many projects you have out there, but if you're like looking to do any more Eastern Shore projects, like they could be bumped up probably.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I know we're not seeing a whole lot in Salisbury, so definitely want to expand our reach as much as we can. Um, but yeah, all the specifics will be negotiated through the contract discussion. So I'm hoping that folks don't get too caught up on the specifics at this phase because there's still a long ways to go till we get to that contract negotiation.
One question I have is so like you talked about some of the, money that's required to put get sites ready to do this kind of work? Like, is there a cap at which you'll go to a project and say like, actually to put EV chargers here is going to be this expensive, like we can only cover up to this much? Like, is that a scenario that people might potentially run into?
Yeah, during the design phase, we'll definitely assess feasibility. I mean, if some sites have electrical infrastructure that is outdated and needs a full heavy up, that's definitely something we take into consideration. I don't think it will completely deter the project or, um, you know, put things on hold, but it's a more complicated process and will take some more time and just back and forth also with the site to confirm everything because it's pretty intrusive to upgrade your infrastructure. So yeah, it, it has an impact, but I don't want to say that it will um, really rule out any projects.
And again, I'm guessing like if you get to that point where it's like, oh, this project will be too expensive to put EV chargers here, then folks haven't necessarily lost anything
Correct.
through
Yeah.
the signing the LOI. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're just starting the process to discover if it's possible.
yeah. And what's also useful is folks can hang on to those site designs for any future planning as well. It's knowledge is power, so at least knowing what's possible and what's not possible can be really useful for any future planning.
So the funding that is currently available, can I ask, where does it come from and how certain is it?
Yeah, so the federal funding is certain. We've been granted most of our funding back through the joint office, which we're very excited about. The Maryland, the state funding, that's still in the conversation phase. Nothing has been written down in an agreement just yet, but we should be seeing that funding open up here very soon. And we're very closely connected with Maryland, MEA, and MCEC as well. So we're very confident that that funding will go through. But right now, the federal dollars are for certain. I hope that answers your question there.
Yeah, that's good to know. I'm sorry, what specific program or department does this federal money come from?
Yes, the program that or the department we're partnering with is the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation.
Okay. And if there's our church building was, it goes back to the 80s. So I would imagine there'd be some sort of electrical upgrade work that would need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that your company does entirely on its own, or is the public utility, PEPCO, involved in any way?
Right, yeah. So the utility would need to be involved. Any upgrades to the infrastructure, the utility will actually need to be on site to make that final hookup and the connection there. Um, so yeah, we've done a lot of that in the past too with Pepco, BGE, Delmarva. So we're very familiar with the process, and yes, the utility will need to be directly involved.
But you'll take care of pretty much all of that from that sort of permitting end, right,
Yes,
Andrea?
correct. Yep, we'll go through the whole, there's a utility application we'll have to submit, so we'll take care of everything for you and coordinate with you guys as well for any on-site accessibility.
This it certainly to me seems like a very attractive offer, and I imagine you've offered this to other churches, and I would have expected that churches would jump at the opportunity, but somehow you haven't signed up any churches for it. How do you make sense of that?
Yeah, so the our
I can
main
also answer
target,
that too. Yeah.
sure,
Go
Maddie.
for it, Andrea, then I'll add on.
Okay. So yeah, the program is actually targeted for multifamily. So that's our main pool that we're reaching out to for this. But we understand that you know there we can make more of an impact if we expand our reach. And so the outreach to churches only started happening a couple months ago, really. Um, because there's lots of churches in close proximity to residential areas, multifamily areas. But that's mostly the reason why. Our main focus in the beginning was multifamily, um, and more recently, especially with the freezing and unfreezing of funds, we've had to tweak our program a little bit. So our eligibility has opened up to more sites such as churches.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. And just to be clear, like not everyone on this call is from a church. Like Sagarananda is a monk at a Buddhist temple that's really interested. So like we work with lots of houses of worship of all different faiths, not just Christian churches. I think also like, when I think a lot of it is getting companies like Citizen Energy connected to the right people, like IPL, who like we know the congregations, we can try to disseminate this information. And then, when I first learned about this a couple months ago, but then there was like a freeze where basically we weren't sure anybody was going to get any money out of the federal government. And so I didn't want to get people's hopes up if like the money wasn't coming at all. And so like that's why this sort of feels rushed and like it's like we're back on track in terms of getting the federal funding. And then Citizen Energy also has their timeline they're trying to meet to get all of these LOIs in. And so I'm hoping to like in the future for future rounds having a much bigger runway of like being able to know like, okay, here's exactly who's eligible, like, here's what you need to know, here's the timeline, etc. So I think we've just been sort of operating from that place of like, you know, limited capacity and also like not knowing if the funds were going to be, I didn't want to email everyone about, oh my gosh, you can get a free EV charger, if um, they were never going to release those funds. So that's why it sort of feels rushed. I also think that this type of program is exactly what our congregations have been looking for. And so I see this first round as sort of like, next year when we do this call, we will have projects that'll have happened. And so like trying to find the right type of program that houses of worship can actually participate in because like you don't have money in your budget to be able to do this and like but yet have a lot of folks in your congregations and in the surrounding community that would love to use EV chargers on your site. So I think that's sort of the like perfect confluence of like this could actually happen now and there's limited time to try to get everybody in and oh my gosh, when they opened up the requirements, that Andre was just talking about, like I had my brother who's like a GIS environmental scientist nerd, awesome guy, go through our whole list of congregations and see who was eligible, and it came out like more than 500. So like, um, of which you all's facilities are just a few. Um, so I really picked like targeted outreach in terms of who do we think might be willing to say, might be interested and like able to say yes, or somebody we've already talked to about EV chargers, in this short timeline. So, and I'm really glad that it sounds like there's good hope for future rounds that hopefully we can get, even more folks involved in. Andrea, how many host sites are you looking to do total as part of this like the current funding round?
Yeah, so across the DMV, we are looking at 100 total sites, and we currently have 10 open slots right now. So, right, we do anticipate capacity being reached by the end of the month, like I said. So we do encourage folks to submit LOIs, as soon as they can. But yeah, 100 total sites. We're looking at, um, I believe, 45 in Maryland, 45 in Virginia, and 10 in DC.
So I hate to be the crass one here who brings up the question, how much are we talking about here in terms of expected revenue for the church?
Yeah, good question. So, if you do have, you know, regular use of the chargers, because we are going to be offering a discounted rate, and that is dependent on the area. It's hard to give an exact number, but a good estimate for regular use of, let's say, 2 out of the 4 ports. you could see, I would say, in a year, since revenue would be paid out annually, I would say total revenue could get um, up to 1,000, maybe even more than that as well. Um, it's hard to say as well because we do work with the standard rate, which in Maryland is 45 cents per kilowatt hour. So we haven't done a lot of discounted rates, so I haven't seen the numbers for what a discounted rate, what the revenue would be with that. But I do imagine regular use over the year easily could get up to $1,000. Sorry, I couldn't get more specific on that. I'm sure once we get through the design phase as well and start with education, those are definitely things that we would look at, and also in the contract negotiation as well. We can put some more specifics in the language um, to make sure that it is worth the investment in your time.
How fast does a level two charger charge a car? For instance, if a car was down to 20% of max, and I think you're not supposed to take it above 80 or 90 or something, how many hours would it take for a level two to go from 20% up to 80%?
Yeah, so level two to get from 20 to 80, I would say probably 3 to 4 hours. Um, we like to the focus on multifamily was also because it's good to have an overnight charging access. That's what we see a lot of residents in multifamily sites doing is plugging in at night and charging through the night. Since level two, um, for a full charge could take anywhere from 4 to 8 hours.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Maddie and Andre to organize this seminar. I just sent you the letter of intent. I think it's a noble act to support our effort to make our energy consumption greener. So it will be our honor. I just report to our board of trustee last Sunday about this opportunity, and all of them are on board. So they just signed the letter of intent and send it to you. So if you have any question, please
Oh my
feel free
gosh,
to.
amazing.
That's so great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Thank
Venerable
you.
Sagarananda.
Sure,
That's very
sure,
exciting.
sure.
And
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 looking forward to the future opportunity to have our meditation center in Boise included in the endeavor.
yeah,
Definitely.
Andrea, you can this is probably will be your first Buddhist community that you've
Yeah,
done EV
very,
chargers
very
at. So
exciting. Thank you
Yeah,
for the
we
kind words too.
we do have another close to 100 acres of property in southern or in central Virginia, and
Okay.
then but it's in the rural area, so I don't know whether the program or the grant will cover that. But anyway, so in the future, I'm more than happy
yeah,
to
I think
explore the
the
opportunity.
yeah, the thing is you have to be within for the congregations, like in order to do this, like you had to be within a certain amount, like certain distance of multifamily housing pretty much, or like in in a place with residential folks. So, yeah, I think your farm might not count, but I'm glad the Germantown Temple does. So,
Yeah, thank you for that. We'll definitely be in touch with next steps. Like I said, uh, site design and education should start taking place this summer. So yeah, we'll be in touch, and thanks so much for
Yeah.
pushing for this. It's definitely an
Yes.
exciting time, and it's communities like yours that we want to support and include in this transformation. So very
Mhm.
exciting.
And thank you so much. And then we are also a active participant of this Interfaith Environmental Summer Camp. Uh, so I'm hope in the future if you have if you're available, I would like to invite you over to give a presentation and a talk to our kids.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we definitely
That's
need
a
to
great
coordinate
idea. Yeah. I want to
for
go to
sure.
the interfaith summer camp, but I'm probably too old. But it sounds
You can be a
amazing. I've heard a
volunteer.
little bit about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that sounds great.
Are there any last questions for Andrea? I know, Andrea, I'm gonna send a follow-up email to everyone that with like if I can include your email and phone number, that
Of
would be
course.
great. Okay.
Yeah,
Any last questions?
No, sounds good. I think my church would be interested, so I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can.
great. Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll definitely be in touch. And Maddie should be sending out my contact info, so don't hesitate to reach out if any other questions or just any general thoughts come up. I'm happy to discuss.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Andrea. I'm excited. I hope that, we can get this to work for a few folks and then, sort of lay the groundwork for more in the future. So,
Definitely. Yeah, and thanks again, Maddie, for putting this together and for everyone for your time.
okay,
Thank you.
take good
Thank
care,
you.
everyone. Have a good week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
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 Thanks.